Riley Backrack, the president of Hanna Sacks, called me and asked Sharona and myself to be this year's dinner honorees, we asked ourselves, are we gluttons for punishment? Or do we really care so much about Hanna Sacks? The simple answer is both. This is the first and hopefully the last time we will agree to be honored at a dinner. Anyone who's been honored at a dinner knows exactly what I'm referring to. A number of people asked us if we really care enough about Hanna Sacks to accept this honor, and we both agreed that yes, we do care enough about the school to punish ourselves and accept the honor. Sharona and I believe that Hanna Sacks has what it takes to be a place for young adults to absorb all the characteristics that a true Bas Torah should have as they prepare to become Torah-observant wives and mothers. It is no coincidence that Sharona went to Hanna Sacks, our daughters Huli and Esti went to Hanna Sacks, and when I'm big, I want to go to Hanna Sacks. This tribute would not be complete without mentioning my wife Sharona, who emulates all the qualities that Hanna Sacks works to view in their students. We are actually grateful to have this opportunity to show our Hakaras Hatov to this Mosad. Between work and family, Sharona finds time to offer her talent to the school. I'm not sure if the dinner committee chose this week for the dinner out of habit, or if they chose it because this week's Parsha is Parshas Shmos, and in respect to Hanna Sacks being a girls' school, I thought it appropriate to quickly point out the impact that women had on this week's Parsha. We have Miriam, Moshe Rabbeinu's sister. Paro had ordered that all Jewish babies should be cast into the Nile River. The Gemara, Masechah Sota, mentions that after this decree, Amram, Miriam's father, divorces his wife Yocheved. He reasons that it's better this way, to avoid the murders altogether, than to bear children for Paro to kill. It should be noted that Amram was the leader of the Sanhedrin at the time, and therefore the entire nation followed his lead. It was Miriam, then, who changed her father's mind and convinced him that he was acting wrongly and was being even harsher than Paro, since Paro had only prevented Hebrew males from growing up, while Amram's divorce plan would prevent Hebrew girls from being born as well. Amram accepted his daughter's argument and took Yocheved in a second marriage, setting an example for the rest of the nation to follow. It was only after that Moshe was born. Then we have Shifra and Pua, who were ordered by Paro to murder all of the boys who were to be born. Rashi identifies these midwives as Jewish women, none other than Yocheved and Miriam, whom Paro wished to enter into this service against their own people. These true heroines understood that they should not follow the cruel laws of Paro, but rather they should follow the higher ethical law of Hashem. But in my opinion, the greatest heroine in this week's Parsha is Paro's daughter, identified by the Medrash as Bakya. She is perhaps one of the most unexpected heroines in the entire Torah. She was the one who saved Moshe from the river, contrary to her own father's unjust and inhumane orders. Then Miriam appears, as if out of nowhere, and offers to call a Jewish woman to nurse the child. Paro's daughter must have realized somehow that she was the child's sister, and she would have the child's mother be the nursemaid. She took incredible risks and was rewarded later on in many ways. You might be wondering, which of these women went to Hanna Sacks? The truth is, I believe the reason we took the time to come to this dinner is either because you live on my block, anybody? Or, farewell. Or because you know that it is in Hanna Sacks where your girls can flourish and follow the principles set by the women in this week's Parsha to grow into God-fearing, Torah-observant women who strive to be all they can be. I know that's why we're here. I'm sure that's why you're here as well. Those of you who have walked this school can feel the warmth of Torah coming from the people within the walls of the school. As a general contractor, when I walk into the school, this is going to be a little redundant, I'm checking out the warmth that comes out of the boiler. And as you've heard, ladies and gentlemen, the boiler system in that building is older than most of us in this room. No show of hands, please, on that. Many hours have been spent analyzing all the different options for maintaining, replacing, or upgrading the system in the building. Even with the eligible rebates, and believe me when I tell you that we've tried, we realize that none of the options are free. Any additional support that you can show this year to help keep the school warm could be applied to the boiler fund which is officially being launched right now. Before all of the thank yous, I would like to give a shout out to my Ashes Chayil of 20 years, Sharona. I have to say, this honor tonight, it's all Sharona. It's easy for me to call my workers, let's give her It's easy for me to call my workers and get them over to the school to do whatever work is needed. It's all the planning that Sharona and our daughter Huvi does that makes everything in the school happen. Time is something we all have so little of these days, but I wanted to encourage everyone not only to make financial contributions, but also contributions of your time and talents to Hanna Sacks. On behalf of Sharona and myself, I wanted to thank Rebbetzin Hanna Sacks herself. She and her family left Israel to come to Chicago, thinking they were going to fundraise for the Yishuv, but instead saw the need to develop chinuch in Chicago, and therefore remained. Her father initiated the ATT that we have today. I would like to thank the people who keep things going at Hanna Sacks. Avrumi and Voe Weinfeld, Ellie and Mandy Backrack, this just in. Mazel Tov to Abigail Backrack on her engagement to Ari Sheriff. Mazel Tov. Thank you. I have nothing in my ear, by the way. The principal, Mrs. Toby Teller. The vice principals, Mrs. Ginsburg and Mrs. Levine. All the teaching staff, Mrs. Chani Belsky, Raya Osnowski, and the dinner committee, and all the parents and fellow honorees for making this such a successful evening. Thank you.